In a world that appears to make no linear sense, there is a time-travelling rabbit with an important agenda. What is it? No one knows, but it has something to do with basketball. Welcome to a reality where a famous pig actor turned despotic leader rules with an iron fist, and a psychopathic duck may be our only hope for salvation. Welcome to the Tooniverse.
The Space Jam Continuum is a show where two brave souls attempt to create a cohesive cinematic universe out of something that was never meant to be one. Looney Tunes, from 1937 all the way to Space Jam. Why? Because in an era where all people want is a cinematic universe and reboots of old cartoons, we're the only ones with the resolve to combine the two.
So join us every Wednesday as we explore the depths of the Tooniverse, slowly clawing our way ever closer to the 1996 classic.
That's the Space Jam Continuum, every Wednesday at kaiju.fm or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Oh, and we advise you start at the beginning.
It's a good idea.
Welcome one and all to Merely Roleplayers, where theatrical people play role-playing games. My name's Matt Boothman. I've been your compere for this studio production of Codename Mosaic Ghost Recall, where we've been playing Mission Accomplished by Jeff Stormer. I am joined backstage by Strat.
Hello. By
Ellie.
Hello.
By Helen.
Hi.
And by Vikki.
Hello.
So, how's everybody feeling? We need to have a debrief from the debrief now.
It was so much fun. It was really silly.
It was fun.
I was worried that it might be too close to home a little bit, because a lot of us have had frustrating meetings before.
It's very cathartic in that sense.
Yeah, it was nice to act it out and to be able to be playing a character that could call out the awkward things about meetings, because obviously in real life you just have to be like, ha 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 ha, it's all fine.
How did it feel getting back into, obviously these characters are from the Blackshore saga when we were all playing ourselves. How did it feel sort of adopting those code names and those personas again?
For me, it was quite weird because it made me realise that my character, when I'm playing just the agent, is like a bit short and surly with people and not very interested in obeying the rules and the protocol. So in this meeting debrief setting, like, doesn't really have a lot of time for it, which was weird to play, because a lot of the time when we were in mission, when we did the full series, my character was using the suave ability. So it was a lot of kind of chatting people up and trying to get information from people, which was in itself playing another character on top of the base character. So I'd sort of thought about this session in advance and thought, oh yes, I'll have to get back into the mind frame of, being quick-witted and silver-tongued, and then realised actually my character doesn't really do that in that base level of protocol discussion.
Yeah, like when she's not undercover, when she's just talking to her actual superiors who know she's a spy, she can just say what she likes.
Exactly.
It felt quite familiar to me in a way. Like, it was surprisingly familiar to be like, oh yes, this was nice to be Anvil, who's a bit like, oh, this is bullshit the whole time. I think we had kind of played that mission in Mosaic a bit like that, where we had this like slight disdain for authority and the rules. We wanted to play within the rules if we could, but we were prepared to bend or break them when we felt like that was the right thing to do.
Standard spy fiction kind of attitude, isn't it? Absolutely. Like, at the end of the day, the agency or equivalent always want you to be a cog in the machine, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much training or programming you've had, you are a human person with a moral compass and emotions. And I think this was a good opportunity to sort of explore those things around, like, where you can have like, well, here are the things that went wrong, or here are the ways that people might have behaved, and then us having to like backwardsly justify those things and being able to say, oh, well, it would have it could have happened like this, or it could have been because of that, was quite a nice way of like exploring a bit more about that character style that we'd done in the season, which was, we want to get the job done, but we're not really that keen on playing by the agency's quite strict, ridiculous handbook of rules that we don't think are actually that conducive to successful missions. Helen, this is probably your sort of longest single stint playing Agent Banks, because you were an epilogue cameo in Codename Mosaic, and then you slipped into that character a bit in Deja Vu,
But obviously this was a straight couple of hours in that. So how was that for you?
Well, I hadn't really made much of a character, and with Deja Vu, I ended up with all my characters layered on top of each other.
Of course.
So maybe that's why I said some weird things. I don't know. It's just rewheeled it.
Built it around pop culture references.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I had a nice time, but I can't say that it's the most nuanced character I've ever played.
I liked her as like a kooky weirdo, being a bit like, I think it's just another version of having a disdain for the rules, right? Where you're like, I've come up with this creative idea of something weird I could do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, maybe. That's nice. That sounds like a justification. So,
like,
thanks.
I imagine doing this game if everyone was like a really strict rule follower. Like, it wouldn't be as good for you, Matt, in terms of like handing out those citations and commendations and things. It would, like, if everyone was like, oh, I follow the playbook flawlessly every single time, it's not so fun. Like, Spycraft is better when people are playing fast and loose with the
I mean, this is the nice thing about the nice/devious thing about the way the game is designed. Like, I'm sure we all probably clocked when we were reading out those 7 habits of highly effective Black Ops agents that they contradict each other.
Yes.
So you can, even if you're trying your level best to be by the book and following the protocol, you can't embody team spirit and personal development at the same time. So there's always something that I can give petty citations for. And I presume we all realised by the end that there are no rules about when I give those out. It's purely arbitrary.
The only thing I noticed is that you give out citations when people speak.
Yeah, Helen was like, keep my mouth shut.
Not that it worked out that well for me in the end.
Well, you quote unquote won. You were the...
But did I win? What did I win?
Wasn't much of a prize, was it?
No.
Yeah, that's the comedy reveal at the end of Jeff Stormer's Mission Accomplished is that actually, really, you want to be going for second place. Second place is what gets you the corner office. First place gets you rendition somewhere for being broken down. Like, it has other suggestions of like, you get sent to man your own space station on your own forever.
Yeah, it's
like
not really a prize.
It's like it should always sound like a reward, but actually be a fate worse than death.
Which actually, is how most corporates reward people.
I feel like everyone else caught on to what was actually happening and how bad that was a bit quicker than I did. I was like, what?
Yeah, you were like, well, how would that work? Where would I actually be? How would I use my credit card?
Right, sorry, hon. You don't get the second tier awards as well.
Yeah, so Strat was like, Helen, how about? And I was like, oh, yes. Okay. Say yes now.
So, like, part of what the game wants is to have lots of situations where I'm sort of putting stuff down and saying, explain this about something that you've never heard before and you're having to think on your feet. So were there any moments for anybody where you had like panic brain? And you're like, how do I
honestly,
account for this?
Right from the beginning, I felt like my imagination brain was shriveled like a raisin. I couldn't think of any ideas. It's like if someone says to you, what's your favorite film? And then you're like, well, I can't remember any names of any films from the history of time, so I don't know. So I really struggled to start with. Which is why the first thing I said was I dropped my phone in the sea.
That became like that for me though, that like sparked something where I was like, this could be like a small thing that actually turns out to be a really big.
Yeah. Well, I think
like actually a really big thing.
The good thing is that your brain does start to warm up as you get into the session. And then I was like, okay, I need to work my initially terrible suggestion in as something more interesting.
And because we're pattern seeking beings, like those that ends up being the explanation for multiple things as well.
Yeah.
And it ends up tied into other threads.
Yeah, it's like, oh, please Lord, someone give me a call back. So it was it was fine, but it is, I think, especially when you're playing a game that you've not played before, so you're not also like clued up on the mechanics, there's a lot of initial or lack of mechanics. There's a lot of that just initial basic panic brain that happens.
I realise I rely so much on, well, I'll roll a dice and then Matt will tell me what the consequence of that is, or I will be able to say what the consequence of that is, and then I will go from there. And it was like, oh, actually, it's not like, I'm not driving it in that way. It's going to be much more like, well, yeah, what's Matt going to say? Well, then this happened and you need to explain it. And then you're going, oh, that doesn't fit together with any of the things that I'd started to build up in my head.
And not just when Matt says stuff, but when someone picks it up and throws it at you like a hippopotamus.
Yes, Helen did trap you as many times as she possibly could.
It was very enjoyable to watch.
You really nailed it, though.
Yeah, Helen was one of the only ones doing like throwing people under the bus, at least at the beginning.
And I did get a citation.
I was just biding my time.
He tried to take my sandwich.
In real life before we started recording.
Yeah, it's important.
I asked if I could have it. I did not try and take it.
And I said, stop being horrible to me. And you carried on being horrible to me.
We're not playing anymore, Helen.
So I made you with the hippo.
Well, I mean, considering that you were filled with such fear and rage against Strat at the outset, I think he came off pretty lightly. I felt like there was a good few minutes in the middle there where everyone was like, yeah, Pigeon, you're so suspicious. Why have you done all this really suspicious stuff?
That's because I had decided. I sent Matt a thing being like, yeah, they've turned Pigeon. Like, she's had this opportunity to neutralize a key asset and hasn't done it.
I think I really sort of started playing into that quite early on anyway, because I decided that I was the one who'd got the wrong schematics, which was a big, like, suspicious thing to have happen at the beginning.
Yeah. I think it was good, though, because in any spy story, the person who is the one who has to go undercover and spend the most amount of time talking to the enemy assets is the one most likely to be turned, or to there be some leverage, or for them to get found out, or to have to do something to protect themselves. So you're the most at risk for that. Like, as a character, you're the most at risk.
So I wrote that you had the client list.
Oh, right, yeah.
And didn't hand it over. So I think the reason why it felt that way was because we pointed suspicion. Because that was actually happening.
But I think that is also because of, like, it is opportunity. Like, when I was thinking about it, when I wrote my good thing and bad thing for you and for Helen, there just seemed so much more opportunity for you to have,
done bad things. Definitely.
To have done bad things than Helen to do so.
And that's another function of how those anonymous reports work, is that you can always end up with two bad things about the same person, two good things about the same person. You're not guaranteed to get anybody singing your praises.
It's a clever way to do it.
We do love you, but in that game we turned on you.
I had this idea, though, that Anvil was like throwing Pigeon under the bus on purpose to try to get the agency to excommunicate her, or whatever it's called, when it's not the
Pope. When it got towards the end and it was all these things had piled up that were suspicious against me, I started building another narrative in my head, which I wasn't sure was going to come out in gameplay or not. And it didn't really in gameplay, apart from right at the end, that this was slightly a setup that we'd agreed as a team, because I wanted out of working for the service, because my complex backstory, as featured in the original full series, was that I was a con woman and had come off the back of doing a big heist.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And that's how I'd been recruited. That Vikki's character had sort of talent spotted me as an expert heist operative, and had picked me out to recruit into the service. So I think, and we'd always said that my loyalty to the service was -1, because I was only doing it whilst it was good fun. I was along for the ride. It was a thing to be doing that I wanted to do now, but that I had no loyalty to the corporation. So I think it just hit that point where I wanted out, and this was a good way to do it. So actually, I've sort of backwritten it in my mind that all the stuff people were saying that was bad, and the suspicious stuff, and the drop phone and blah, 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 was all to build this picture so that I would be fired effectively, which is what I want. And of course, I'm also in love with Anvil, and we're riding off into the sunset together. So that's nice.
I would come and get you. Arrange you some cover with my new senior position with my special Black Nando's card.
Yeah, you can support my lifestyle with your Black Nando's card. All the chicken I can eat.
Oh my God,
it is, right? It's not the unlimited budget, it's just a Black Nando's card.
Unlimited budget at Nando's.
That's what I wanted.
So yeah, new status quo for the Codename Mosaic crew. So Banks and Tanktop are on the lam. Anvil is still technically employed, but also sheltering Pigeon.
Mm-hmm.
the thing that she does well, because Vikki, wasn't it Anvil who knew about Helen and everything about
This is my specialty. This is what I do.
Anvil was also the guardian of my original real identity.
Yeah. I know everyone's like, I feel like it's the perfect thing about Anvil is that Anvil seems like a lone wolf, but is really the essential team player.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Just no one knows, because if they know, then they'd think, oh, Anvil's gonna know where Tanktop is. They're never gonna ask me. They're never gonna think I'm the one that's got Pigeon's secret location in her new safe house. They never suspect.
And of course, the service now has the technology to turn agents into digital internet ghosts, and also there is at least one copy of Mosaic loose in the internet as well. So this story is sort of going in a bit of a cyberpunk direction.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's scope within the story that we've created for the fact that the copy of Mosaic is out there for us to have actually requisitioned it. Without the service knowing. I don't know why we would do that. Maybe we want to find some stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, when you have sequels to spy stories, the bad guy becoming a reluctant ally is a thing. It happens. So you could be in cahoots. You could have released her, perhaps, and pulled the wool over Cassette's eyes.
Yeah, a perfect backdoor. Yeah. Maybe we did. That does sound like us.
Yeah, we know you interfered with that data cable.
Did.
I don't know what cables do.
They right in the sky.
Helen can do all manner of things with a cable you would never even imagine.
Yeah, give her a cable on a helicopter.
Yeah. Dangerous.
Yeah. And I didn't know what craft I was in for a time, because I kept thinking that the Basilisk was a submarine.
Right.
Oh.
All the way through, I was stuck on it being a submarine.
Yeah.
Even from when I first read the notes a few days ago. So that's why I was in a boat.
In a lot of ways, if what they're aiming to do is tap into a fiber optic internet cable that is on the seabed, it would make way more sense for them to do that in a submarine than in a hovercraft.
Maybe it's amphibious.
I just like the idea of a fortress hovercraft.
You could just go around stabbing the big, air cushion.
There's no excuse for me to have not really blown it up. But
I did think at one point it was a bit funny that you'd said something like when you were planting the bombs, and in my head I was like, how have you just left the helicopter? Like, they don't just hover midair. You can't just leave it on park while you go.
Yeah, they have autopilot.
One in Deja Vu did.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's true.
No, I don't think it is true. But it can be true in this world. That's fine. It could be remote operated.
Yeah. Or you could have just landed it on a helipad.
That would be a bit suspicious, don't you think?
Hello.
They were all distracted by the karaoke. Should be fine.
I take everyone out. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's all fine. Well done with quips. I wrote the quip thing in.
Yeah, naughty.
I knew that was you.
So almost sidestepped it. Like, no.
But I know. And then you were like, oh, tell us your top 3.
I was like,
I was going to ask if you didn't.
Yeah, no, I knew that was coming my way.
One of the things, so my job in that coffee break section is to take all of the complications, the main objective, and all of the anonymous reports and put them in some sort of order and note down any questions I have about the events.
Yeah.
And so what would you have quipped if you could do it now question was one I had put in
I set you right up for it by saying I had loads of them.
Yeah. Well, I did that. And then the moment I sent it to Matt, I was like, oh, crap, they could totally turn that around back on me. I better have some ideas. And hilarious. One of them was just booyah, which is essentially suck it.
Suck it, yeah.
Then I had 3 more. One of them was say hello to your son for me. So I went just as dark
nice
as Vikki. And then I had teal next time, Edward.
Oh, that's good. Teal next time. Oh, yes. I was thinking there's something with teal here, but my brain is just, when you can't.
Yeah, that one took me a while. But my final one was just get in the Celix.
Get in the Celix.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was just doodling those as we were playing.
Did anyone have other anonymous reports that they were toying with but didn't use?
No, I didn't have anything.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I did the 2 and then that was that.
Yeah, I was worried about getting too repetitive with stuff that had already been talked about. Oh, the karaoke thing was, I initially thought that it could have been that Tanktop and Pigeon did a really good duet in the executive lounge in order to advertise the karaoke competition, and that it was really successful and made sure that lots of people joined up. So that was my initial thing, but then I thought it would be more funny to specify what song and that you sang it on your own. So
yeah, that was brilliant.
That was a good one. They were fun. They were hard ones to think of because you wanted to leave them open enough for the person to do something with them, but not just seem too random or kind of too open.
Yeah.
They were fun to think of.
Yeah. I think it'd be a really interesting game to replay because it recommends keeping so much stuff from the players for comedy purposes, like the meaning of the commendations and citations and the gag at the end about the top spot actually being the worst and stuff like that. So like if you played it again, you would already know that stuff. So that would be a kind of a different take. But I wonder whether there would also be more tactical use of like blame throwing and praise taking and all of that kind of stuff. Or like as tactical as you can get when the games master role is intentionally just petty and arbitrary.
Yes, because as the games master, you could decide that this person is trying to get far too many citations. Clearly they don't want to be first. I'm just going to find random ways of giving them commendations and upping their score.
Yeah, but then it is totally down to the dice at the end.
Yeah,
you could have loads of citations, loads of commendations, and the citations could just take them all out.
Yep. Yes, as you say, it is not fair at the end. I should have done much worse than I did.
Well, at least everybody had fun.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was something a bit different to do for us as well. Bit of a different format.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it works so well in this format.
Yeah, well. I wanted to. I have no idea when this is actually going out, but I wanted to do this recording while we're still in lockdown because I thought it would work really well in Zoom.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well done, everybody.
But in a world of games that work generally best face to face, if people are looking for one that you can very quickly and easily do over a video call one night, this is superb.
Yeah.
Well done, Jeff Stormer.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for playing.
Thanks, Matt, for hosting.
Thank you.
Hope you're all going to take care of yourselves and decompress and do something non-businessy after we get off this.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yep.
See the outside world.
Yeah, less officey. Great. Well, thanks very much. Talk to you all soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been Codename Mosaic Ghost Recall, a studio production from Merely Roleplayers. It stars Ellie Pitkin as Agent Pigeon, Helen Stratton as Agent Banks, Strat as Agent Tanktop, and Vikki as Agent Anvil. Our theme music is a collaboration between Alexander Pankhurst and me, Matt Boothman. I also play Agent Cassette, as well as editing and producing the episode. We were playing Mission Accomplished, the role-playing game of super spies and office meetings created by Jeff Stormer. You can find Mission Accomplished and many other fine games at jeffstormer.com. Merely Roleplayers is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on.